guys. Okay, so I came on today to start a part of the series. This may be a long part of our series for beginner witches because I want to talk about psychic ability, and there's so many facets to psychic ability that I'm sure I won't be able to get it down in one session, maybe not even two. We'll see how it goes, because there's so much information and there's so much to go over, and there's so many different routes to go. So I'm going to try to talk about as much of that stuff as I can. And we're going to start with what is, because like I said, I think I've said this before, I do believe that psychic ability is, there's two kind of different aspects of psychic ability. One is people who were born with certain psychic abilities that will always be kind of different from other people who really have to work at trying to increase their psychic ability. I do think, though, that you can harvest your own natural psychic ability, and you can practice it and get better. And the more you practice it, the better you get with it, definitely. I have seen in myself, I know I've taken several psychic mediumship classes, and I know I have seen it get better. When you practice, you get better at it. So it is something that you can develop. It's not an already learned skill, unless you were born with it, and then that's a little bit different usually than people who have to learn on their own and develop it. Okay, so first of all, I hope your week is going good. I know today's Wednesday and I meant to do a video before now, but like Monday night I didn't get any sleep at all for some reason. So yesterday I went to bed at like 8 o'clock. I just was done. I didn't go to sleep right at 8 o'clock, but I was out by like 9, I think. It was terrible. So I just thought, no, you know what I'm going to do. Sometimes I try to push myself and do videos when I'm really tired, and it never works out right, and I end up not uploading them anyways because I don't like to just give half. By the way, if you hear my son in the background, I'm upstairs and he's also upstairs playing video games with his father downstairs and his brother in Massachusetts. So you hear swearing, sorry. They're playing Call of Duty. I don't know if you can hear them, but I know I can. Okay. So, first of all, there are several different kinds of psychic ability, okay? And how you break them down is kind of based on your senses, like your regular senses, to start out with. There's 6 psychic senses. There's 4 that are main ones that people talk about mostly. Let's talk about, first of all, and I do believe, because I believe that you can learn them, that you can develop them, I do believe that each of these comes from your initial 5 senses. So sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. And then your psychic ability can come from, is like an enhancement of any of those plus. So what differs is the source of information. So when we touch something, we are getting information directly from our nervous system that allows us to think with our brain that this feels like skin from my other hand, and it's a little rough, and I can feel ridges on there and stuff like that. So when you add a psychic ability into that sense, it's what's giving you the information is not your nervous system. It is an outside source. It is a guardian, an ancestor, a person who has crossed over, or the universe in general. You can pick up on energy waves from the universe. And the way you get that information, everybody is a little bit different, and their strongest ways to get that information. That's what we're going to talk about. Okay. Our five senses pick up messages from our physical material plane. The info received by our psychic senses comes from the spiritual realm. Or I have to always say, I believe it comes from the spiritual realm also. I also believe that it just comes from learning how to detect energies. And we know scientifically that everything gives off its own energy, that everything vibrates at a certain wavelength. And so it's kind of making your body in tune to different wavelengths, vibrations of energy. And to me, I think you can train your senses to pick up different vibrational levels. That's why you can also teach yourself to see aura, because everybody has their own vibrational. That's what you're seeing is a color representation of their vibrational energy is around them. Okay. So the 6 different psychic senses are called the clairs, and that has to do with how you are picking up that signal, that psychic signal. I'm trying to think of which one to go with. I got some information from 2 different sources. Both of them are good. Plus, what I have rolling around in my own head. All right. So let's start with the one that people have heard the most about is clairvoyance. Okay. And what is clairvoyance? It's also called second sight. Clairvoyance is the ability of receiving messages in the forms of images. So people who are clairvoyant, when they feel like they're receiving a message from the other side, from psychic energy, from their guardians, from their ancestors, they see something. They see either a representation of a person. Some people see that. Some people see symbols that enter into their it's like, to me, I always it's like a memory. It's like you're seeing a memory, because it's not, are you actually seeing a triangle or whatever? No, you're not seeing it with your eyes, but you're seeing it in your mind like a memory or remembering a dream. And so in that way, that symbol is coming through. This is the most widely known, but least understood. Keep in mind, most clairvoyants don't see images with their physical eye, but with their mind. Clairvoyance feels a lot like visualization or daydreaming. The difference is clairvoyants do not control what they see. It happens in a flash. It can be simple forms, shapes, colors, as much as full-blown visions. Some people have visions of upcoming events, that kind of thing. There's related psychic gifts that go along with clairvoyance, which are remote viewing. That's a whole nother topic. You can look it up if you're interested in that. It's really interesting, but it's a whole new world we could go into, and I don't want to get into quite that specific yet. Scrying, and we will talk about that either on this video or on the next one. Shamanic journeying, vivid dreams, premonitions, and aura reading. That's all forms of clairvoyance. Okay? Right. Now, do we want to talk about how you know you have it? Kinda. Alright. So let's go to clairvoyance. Ability to receive intuitive information and visions. And you should know that your clairvoyance, if you're going to train your clairvoyance to be better, it is really about opening your third eye. And so once you open that third eye, you are much more apt to get visions once that third eye is open. Visions may look like movies playing in your head. You may see numbers, colors, still pictures of people, places, or objects. Visions are often symbolic. So if you see a pair of baby booties, then you may be getting an image that someone is pregnant. Okay, here we go. Signs that you're clairvoyant. So usually people are naturally inclined to be one or two of these more than the other. But I do believe that you can develop any of these. It's just about practice and keep doing it. All right, signs that you are clairvoyant. You see movement, flashes, or twinkles of light out of the corner of your eye. You ever had that happen? All of a sudden you're like, I thought I saw something moving over there. Sometimes you are seeing in another plane, Plane, plane. You're a visual learner, so you're the kind of person that has to really look at it to learn. You have to see the problem out in front of you in order to learn it. Your dreams are incredibly vivid, and they might come true sometimes. Daydreaming and imagining, you got that. Your parents and teacher might have complained that you had your head in the clouds. You have seen a spirit in your mind's eye or in physical form. As a child, you had imaginary friends or saw angels. You've had a psychic vision, or an image that flashed before your eyes, and the vision then may have come true. You see other people's auras. It's easy for you to visualize, so if you're doing like a meditation, a guided meditation, that they talk about, okay, now visualize you're going up the stairs, and you go up the stairs right into the clouds, and it's easy for you to do that. That's a big sign that you may have a natural gift towards the clairvoyance. You have a great sense of direction. Mazes, puzzles, and maps are easy for you to figure out. You can plan things in your head, the way a room should be decorated, your new landscaping, so you can kind of shut your eyes and see it before it's done. You really, really appreciate beauty, fine art, a beautiful home, that kind of thing. So that's all signs that you may be inclined to clairvoyance. Okay, the next one is clairsentient. Clairsentient is more common. They are also called empaths. I've said before, because I'm an empath sometimes. So it's the ability of clear feeling. It's the most common psychic gift because we all have empathy to a certain degree. Clairsentients receive messages under the form of emotions and physical sensations. So they may get like chills or hotness, small pains. They possess the ability to pick up another person's emotions and feel them as their own. They can also feel another person's energetic field. When they enter somewhere, they pick up the vibe easily, particularly if something bad happened there in the past. Related psychic gifts are psychometry, energetic healing, and Reiki. So if you're good at that, you may have that as your natural inclination. So sometimes, okay, so here we go. Signs that clairsentient is a natural ability for you. Being in large crowds drains you. A mega shoe sale at Macy's. I think I'll shop online. So if you get into a big crowd and you, oh my goodness, you feel like you've been drained of all your energy because all those other people's energy come at you. Tense situations leave you feeling really anxious, more than the average person. You can't shop at thrift stores or wear secondhand clothing because you may pick up on who owned that before. And if that happens to you, it doesn't have to. You can clear that energy before you wear it or before you use it. Don't forget that. Your friends or organic products are your friends. You may be sensitive to chemicals. So like I know I have skin sensitivities constantly, where anything new and I start breaking out. Or I'm allergic to bug bites, I'm allergic to all kinds of stuff. That bleach, I can't have bleach on my hands. I had a real hard time at work because they changed cleaning products and it had bleach in it, and I'm like, now I gotta wear gloves because I break out terribly. Your friends think you have superpowers because you can always tell when something is wrong with them, even when they're trying to hide it. Watching the news and those animal commercials with Sarah McLachlan singing, you can't even. You actually go out of your way to avoid the news and reading the paper. So I've had a hard time with my husband lately because he's constantly on the news, and I have to just leave after a while. I just can't. I do keep up with what's going on. I can't do it for my sanity. I have to have a break. When you walk into a room, you can sense the energy. If someone just had a fight or an argument, you'll feel that something is off. You physically felt other people's intense emotions like anger or fear. So that is on the higher end of the spectrum of empathic ability, is that you can really, sometimes I am like, oh, what the heck? Who in here is really grieving or going through some horrible time? Because I immediately am like, well, I feel like stone is on my legs pulling me down. You physically felt other people's intense emotions. Oh yeah, I just said that. When you play music, you can feel it in your soul. You are super sensitive to your environment, can't stand clutter or dirt. The Container Store is heaven on earth for you. You sensed spirits or loved ones in heaven around you, or just crossed over around you. So that all that may say, okay, you may have a natural gift at clairsentient or empathic ability. Okay, the next one is clairaudience. So clairaudience receive their messages through hearing. As for clairvoyance, clairaudience do not receive messages from their physical ears. They hear messages in their mind, not loud. Inner hearing, the same feeling as when you're reading silently. In this case, you know that the thoughts are not yours. It's like having a little voice inside your head telling you to go right or left. Furthermore, clairaudience do not only hear words, they can also hear music, sound effects, animal cries, and more. And telepathy is a related gift. So, clairaudience. Ready? Clairsentience. Clairaudience. Signs that clairaudience is a natural ability for you. Loud noise, like Grandpa's TV volume on 50, bothers you or makes you cringe. You tend to hear things that others don't. You are an auditory learner. So if given the option, you'll listen to a book on Audible rather than read it in your Kindle. You have heard your name being called with no one else being around, but not in a creepy way. You've heard ringing or high-pitched sounds in your ears without a medical reason. You tend to talk to yourself in your head a lot. That's one thing I do, is if I get into an argument with someone, for 2 days afterwards, I will think about that argument, replay the argument, what I could have said better. Just terrible. Let it go, let it go. You tend to, people call you for advice. You're the Dear Abby of the family. As a child, you talk to imaginary friends. You are musically inclined. Each day you need quiet time to feel sane and grounded. You swear you can hear animals in a blocks of thought kind of way, not in a Mr. Ed kind of way. Like you'll say, oh, you know what? I feel like the dog is really lonely lately. Now, you have no way of knowing that, but you can hear them express that to you. When you ask for signs, you receive them in songs and or speech. So if that's the case, then clairaudience may be a natural ability for you. Okay, claircognizance is the ability of knowing things without logic or reason. It's like a hyper-developed intuition, okay? I always think of, it's not Mission Impossible, what's the other Tom Cruise one? Where they said precogs, they had precogs, and that's what this is. The claircognizances, yeah, now I can't say it. Claircognizances will have a bad feeling about one thing or another without knowing why. The difference between claircognizance and clairaudience is that your thought does not come from someone else. You just know. So with clairaudience, you literally feel like you're hearing Grandpa, who's crossed over, say to you, "Now, Jennifer, you know you really shouldn't go that way." And you hear in his voice, you are hearing someone else. Claircognizance would be, you just know that your grandpa would say to you, you know you shouldn't be doing that. That is the difference. You're not hearing him say something to you. You're just knowing that he would feel that way. For example, I had an experience of claircognizance a few days ago. I've been able to guess that a friend of mine was pregnant before she told me it was very recent, so she didn't have a belly. So claircognizance. How do you, signs that you may be claircognizant? At least once you've had a strong gut feeling that you couldn't explain that turned out to be right. You've woken up with an insightful answer to a problem. You have known something about someone that they were lying or being phony without any specific reason. You have to be careful because empaths is also like that. If you're empathic, there's a lot of times that I know someone's lying. And I think sometimes, like I said, I think you can develop this, but I don't think it was out of claircognizance. It's just something that I felt from them. You tend to analyze things, or you have an analytical job. Ideas or thoughts pop into your head seemingly out of the blue. Your friends and family trust your gut feelings because you're usually right. You've known what the outcome of a situation will be. A marriage won't last. Your friend will survive her diagnosis, etc. Mystery movies and novels don't stump you. You're a natural detective. So like my husband is claircognizant. He won't, well, he might admit it because he's like very claircognizant. There is, I could tell you stories. There is stuff. There was one time when we first met, I was like 18, and he was separated with me for a night. And he knew, and we weren't able to talk. We didn't have a phone. We lived in Florida. We were very poor. And he knew exactly what was going to happen. That the neighbor was going to come over and hit on me. That this was going to happen with it. I mean, like, he just knew how it was going to play out. He just knew. Or he drives me crazy in movies because he constantly will be 5 minutes in the movie and he'll be like, "Oh, she did it." He just knows. He will know if one of our sons was lying or, making up a story. He's like, "No, that's not how it happened." He just knows. Very annoying to my boys and me sometimes. Okay. Clairgustance. This is one of the more unusuals. Clairgustance is when you taste something in your mouth without being in contact with it. It's like inner tasting. This ability is very rare. It sometimes happens when a psychic is channeling with a spirit. Again, I do believe you can develop this, and I think the way to develop it has to do with, for me, it's more smell, less taste, but it is like if you imagine you can taste that piece of chocolate in your mouth and it's melting and hot and you get your salivary glands going and stuff, then that is the way to practice that kind of thing. And the last one is clairalience, and that is smelling with your nose. So clairalience will smell an odor associated with a deceased loved one coming from nowhere. The typical example is to smell an odor of cigar smoke or cigarette smoke while you're thinking about your grandfather who passed over and, smoked cigars or whatever. Like Clairgustance, this psychic gift is very uncommon. And I don't know if I believe that. I have had that a lot. I was in the local ghost hunting community, and there was a lot of times that another girl and I would go into a room and both smell like an older woman's perfume, that very floral scent, and there's nothing in this room anymore. So it was overwhelming, like, whew, really, we get that you're here. Please put it away, because that kind of stuff gives me a headache. So okay, so here we are at 25 minutes, guys. I have so much more, so I'm gonna have to break this up into a couple different videos, but I will be filming them all tonight. I just don't know if I'll upload them all tonight because the husband and the kids are playing on video games. I'll probably upload a couple, but okay, so those are the 6 psychic abilities, and how you have an idea that you may have a more natural gift inclination of one towards the other. We are going to talk about how you practice. How do you practice your, increasing your psychic ability? And I want to talk about divination as a piece of all of this, and some of the different forms of divination. And I'm going to continue to laugh at my son, who is apparently getting killed in Call of Duty. So this is going to be a big subject, though, so I don't even know if I'll get it done with what I have out tonight, but I definitely will at least make a dent in it, and then I'd love to hear any thoughts or questions and stuff, and then we'll keep going with it until everybody feels like they have a good grasp on what they're doing, okay? So I'm going to move on to the next video, so keep watching. If it hasn't been uploaded, it's coming, because I'm recording it right now. Blessings, guys. I hope your week is going great.